I liked your movie. So why Oregon?
Why Oregon?
Yeah, why'd you pick Oregon?
Well, there's a practical reason behind that. Our producer Neil Kopp is based out of Portland, and I gave it a shot. I researched Oregon. I was thinking Delaware when I was thinking up the premise. I definitely wanted to stay away from the American South. So that would be Nazi skinheads in the American South would be a little obvious. But there is a history of white supremacists in and outside of Portland here. So it seemed like it would be realistic. But more importantly for me cinematically is the gorgeous environment. The lush forests, the mountains, the cornfields. It had everything I needed. So the diversity of landscape was perfect. And also, when you go outside the city just a bit, it gets very remote and very secluded. And that's exactly what I needed for this story.
So where did you shoot it exactly?
We did stage work in, is it Clackamas?
Yeah.
And Rhododendron is where we shot the exterior venue. We shot Astoria for the coastal town. We shot all over. And then I forgot where we shot. We shot inland for these for the cornfields.
Yeah.
But we were like shooting in the fall, so we were just missing. We had to buy our own corn, 2 acres of corn, just to get that one big shot of the overhead van that had veered off the road, because all around us it had already been harvested. So it was a close call, and all the beautiful lush greenery was turning orange too. So we did 2 weeks of intense exterior work, and then went to the refuge of our soundstage and shot 20 days in there.
So what attracted you to this project?
I just really wanted to work with Jeremy. I liked his films, and I also love punk music. I feel a little silly saying that because there's so many different kinds of punk music, but overall, I've over the years been always interested in hardcore, and when I was like middle school, I really liked all the kind of simpler like 70s punk, and I think progressively with age, just things more dissonant. The more dissonance, the more I'm into it. But the combination of the two, a filmmaker that I admired, and this content, I was really into it.
So you played bass in this, but earlier you were playing guitar. You play bass then?
I actually started playing bass for this. I'm not really a good bass player at all. I'm not a good guitar player either. So I'm I'm an even worse bass player than I am guitar player. But since then, I've been playing with my friends, and I've pretty much only been playing bass. I really liked playing it in this film.
I'm a drummer. I love bass guitar.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's
you like good bass players though as a drummer.
No, I thought your bass playing was you actually played. Did you play the bass on those songs, or you just...
No. Did you? No, you had guys come in and record that, because we ended up learning all of the songs. We actually played our rap party, and we covered the few of the songs that we played in the film at the rap party. We played them live. But yeah, we came into this studio and we practiced all the songs, and we learned to play them because we couldn't really fake it, on those days. I mean, especially Joe on the drums. You can't really fake.
No, you can't fake drums.
Playing the drums.
I'm friends with musicians. The guys who do my musical scores, they will keep me honest. If they see any false note on screen, actors trying to be musicians, they'll call me out. So we were very conscious of that in the entire process. So what happened was, Anton and Alia, who had experience playing bass and guitar, they were all given the tracks that we were going to re-record. So these are songs that my friends wrote in high school and some in college, but they all got the fair warning. And here's the music you'll be listening to and trying to sort of get into your system. Meanwhile, we recorded with the local band here. Joel, a member of Toxic Holocaust, had a buddy come over, and they re-recorded all the songs I wanted in the film as one band in one space. And once we had that was our playback track. Meanwhile, in this very room, the Aintrights, the actors, got together, and we listened to the recorded music, and they would try to mimic it. So by the time we got to filming it, we had real playback from a real Portland band, but the actors had so much knowledge of the tracks that it was pretty seamless. And I was shocked at how well it came across as a live performance. Because I mean, the whole film doesn't dwell on the punk rock live performances, but it hinges upon the authenticity. So once we nailed that, I think we were in a pretty safe place.
You know, the music is really important to the movie. I mean,
Oh,
it just fit the movie really well. So, by the way, I really love Blue Ruin.
Thank you.
That was one of my favorite movies. It was 2012.
12.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, no.
Yeah.
2013 it came out.
Yeah, whatever year it was. Really liked it, and had hopes that that more people would see it. But sometimes more people don't see things. But it was a great movie, and so the Macon Blair. I loved his performance in this. I mean, he was so good.
Yeah.
Just kind of this anchor that everything. He just kind of anchored things. I don't know. It was very, very good piece of work.
Yeah, I mean, Macon plays Gabe in Green Room, and he's the club manager, and so he's dealing with everything, and he's managing everything, and of course, it ends up spiraling way out of his control. But he had a very robust role. He had one of the few traditional character arcs in the movie. I don't usually do that. I don't do traditional character arcs. I don't want to adhere to formula, but he has a very complete story, and he has a lot of pathos and humanity that was what I needed, because he plays a member of a Nazi skinhead organization. Vilifying Nazis is really easy, but humanizing them was a challenge, and I think someone with his depth did the trick.
Yeah, he did. So you're working with Patrick Stewart,
Yeah.
who is one of my favorites. So did you? You were in Star Trek. Did you guys talk Star Trek much?
We didn't really at all, actually. Funny enough, we, to be honest, on set we didn't talk very much at all. I tried not to really speak to him at work. We talked a lot in the van after work. We didn't have to hate one another or be, I didn't have to be terrified of him, terrified for my life. He's just the loveliest man. But it's funny because, for me, outside of Star Trek, he's also, on stage, an incredibly important Shakespearean and stage actor, and also an incredible screen presence, and of course, Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek. But it was amazing because the film, there's this kind of dichotomy, right? Where on set there was a lot of, it was obviously a very heavy place, for the actors, and I think for the crew too, because I found that the crew were really affected by what was happening in the moment, because we were all in this tiny room together. And then afterwards, we were having a blast. I mean, we loved being in Portland. I love Portland, all of us, Imi, Alia, Joe, Callum, and I. We all had a great time in Portland. We had a great time with one another. So there's a real kind of this sort of binary between the heaviness in the moments and then the kind of joy that we shared. And Patrick obviously included. He's just, like I said, the loveliest man. So it was a real pleasure.
He's a great actor,
Yeah.
and everybody in it was really good. I mean, you all just kind of, you were very believable.
Thank you.
I really liked it.
Thank you.
So how do you come up with something like? How do you write something like this? Where you seem like a really very laid back kind of nice guy.
Yeah, I am.
And
not true.
the
It's
two
all
movies of
facade.
yours that I know about, like Blue Ruin and this one, are pretty violent.
They're pretty violent, but they're actually, the carnage, if you take it to body count, they're very minimal. I just think it's my duty. It's not like a moral responsibility, but it's a cinematic responsibility. Like, if someone's gonna die on screen, you got to feel the impact. And I have certain rules that I adhere to, but it's really about an exercise in tension building. That's what I need, because I am laid back. I have a very satisfying home life. I'm surrounded by love. I live in a nice house in Brooklyn. But what I want is, when I sit down to watch a film, is something more exciting than the hectic commute to drop off from my daughters to school and double parking and getting a ticket and getting pissed off and like these mundane things. My every day is charged. I'm a New Yorker, damn it. So I need an extra level of intensity to be taken away and to be enthralled and to be captivated. And this is the film for me. This is a film for all the friends that I grew up in the punk rock scene, because not only do I now need a little thrill, I want to harness the energy and the youthfulness and the power and the propulsiveness of punk rock and hardcore. I mean, it's a very physical expression when you're there. I think a big theme in this movie is you've got to show up. When I was a kid, you'd have to hunt down records, buy them blind, bring them home, pop the cassette in the tape deck, and find out this sucks, and then do it again. And then maybe you learn, I paid $6 for this. Let me listen to it for a fourth time. Like, you know what? I kind of like it now. It was such you had to be there. It was about participating and really engaging. And Green Room for me is about it's the experience. And if you don't show up at this theater and watch the movie, if you don't show up to the punk rock show and hear it and feel it, you'll never know. And so you don't need an encyclopedic knowledge of music to see this movie, but you will get the entire benefit of the power it has and the attraction and the allure. And so, yeah, it's all about just harnessing that energy.
So a band for you to check out if you've never heard of them. They were a Portland band, supposedly the band that inspired Nirvana, and it's the Wipers.
Mm-hmm.
You should check them out. You will like them. I was actually their drummer before they were the Wipers.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's a long
The
time
Wipers.
ago.
We snuck a little Poison idea in this movie. So.
Yeah. I really liked the characters. I liked how you do characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I always ask directors this, and there's the movie that is in your head, there's the movie you shoot, or there's a movie you write, then there's a movie you shoot, then there's a movie you edit. How close is this movie to the movie in your head?
This one varies a little bit. This is there are parts that are 82%, and there are parts that are 140%. Better than I ever hoped. Because just making movies is difficult, and there are production constraints. But I think what's great is I know exactly what I needed, and I didn't quite have the resources to do that. So close, every frame, I was so involved with every frame with my editor and every step of the process that you lose sight of what this movie is. And the great joy of now being on tour, just promoting the movie, is I like my interviews. I don't want to hear myself talk that much, but when I see audiences in preview screenings react exactly how I hope they would, then it pays off.
That's
so
very
I'm kind of too close to it, but I'd say so far with the critical response, which is very generous, and what I'm seeing from audiences, that we are at 103%.
So what's he like to work with?
Oh, just awful, man. I had the worst time. It's great. I mean, I think when Jeremy and I met, we connected on some stuff that we both hold to be true, and things that we shared and that we were emotionally connected on. I remember the first time we spoke, and from then on, I just felt like we were on the same page, and it was a hard. Obviously, I didn't know the extent of the difficulties in making this film, but even when I saw it, it's a hard film to make, and so it's almost like you're in combat together, it's like I remember when we rapped, we were both like, fuck, whoa, the fact that we, and obviously my part in that is so much smaller than Jeremy's because he's the captain of the ship. The responsibility is so much greater. But we in working together, and going through this experience together, I have nothing but fond memories. It was a crazy movie to be shooting. It was a crazy movie to the world that we're in is so brutal.
It was really physical. It was very physical.
It's a brutal world, yeah.
And very much a downer, very kind of a negative thing, trying to survive and all that.
But we had a great time, and we had this one day, I remember, where we all got together at Macon's after, and we just had the best time, and that's what I was saying, is there's a real dichotomy between how heavy it was on set, and then we'd all get together and we were enjoying each other's company so much, and I just felt that way. And you know, for me, Jeremy's attention to detail is really inspiring to me on set, you know, because then it puts you in a very particular frame of mind about the world that we're inhabiting. And I think all you can really ask of as an actor, because you're like a tool, right? You're the director's tool they're using to accomplish their vision, is that they have a particular vision, you know, and a strong one. And so if you trust that this person has this vision, your work becomes easier. And I felt that way from start to finish. I just trusted you, man. I trust
Hey,
you now,
man,
man.
I trust you too. I mean, that's the thing is, people ask me. This is even when there's not an actor in the room, is about the cast as an ensemble. And I think one of the things beyond the merits of their craft and their experience and their franchise association outside of Green Room, it's their spirit and their integrity and their investment in the movie. I only let people be in my movie if they actually want to come and be
Yeah.
part of the collective. So when you have such a positive sort of collective energy, we're all supporting each other and the trust level is high, it's just a safe place in a very vulnerable profession, you know, and that I think really affects this movie especially, where it has, you know, pit bulls, shotguns, action sequences, all kinds of insanity, but it's all on the shoulders of the cast to make it grounded, to make it believable, and to make it, you know, when we see a life lost or a disgusting bloody makeup showcase, it actually means something. There's a huge impact emotionally, and so being around so many like great positive people, I can honestly say the whole cast, there was not a single jerk amongst them. And being an independent filmmaker coming from the outside, making my biggest sort of union film to date, that was a welcome surprise.